Welcome back to the Third Wheel Podcast. I'm your host, Jacob, and here's my co-host, Caleb.
Oh. Sorry, I was trying to follow your lead.
Well, here's this one. We are joined once again by Caleb's brother, Matt.
How did I get here? I haven't seen you guys in forever.
He broke out of the closet we locked him in, and he said that he won't tell the cops if we let him do another episode. So, please tell us, how are you doing today?
I'm actually doing fairly well. I'm ready to eat some food, since that's a tradition that y'all have.
Well, don't get too excited, because we still got to do the episode. We eat at the end.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man.
I learn this lesson every week.
But my stomach's making the rumbles.
That only whatever we're going to have today is can satisfy.
You had to catch yourself.
Yeah, I almost spoiled the ending. I will spoil the ending to this movie.
No. Cut the tape.
Not
Cut.
spoilers.
Well, okay, since we're talking about food, I got a good question for y'all. Have y'all ever lost your appetite?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay, hold on. All the time, what?
Yeah.
The answer
Right
for
now.
me is never.
Never lost your appetite.
Except one time, and that's the story I'm going to share today. But I could eat anything at any time. I could horror movie, don't care. I'm eating. National Geographic. Oh, that's where I get my crawfish from. Oh, I don't care. I'm good. But have y'all ever lost your appetite? Matt says all the time.
I lose my appetite whenever I'm watching anything remotely gross, or if I'm really anxious.
I'm always hungry.
Wow.
Always. So it's just
Interesting.
no issues here.
No, I'm with him on that, but I was gonna say more of I'm trying to eat, and then we get into a dumb argument and be like, you know what, I don't want to eat anymore.
I've had it.
That's different. Instead of being grossed out,
you always want to make a good entrance. You know what, I've lost my appetite. Then you take your food with you wherever you go. Just you need. It's all about appearances. Well, why do you ask, Caleb?
Well, guys, you know me. I'm chock full of good stories. I got one story for you, and it's going to be hard to illustrate, so I'm going to use the best descriptions I can because there's no video on this show, at least not yet. All right, here I go. So I'm sitting there with my buddy at Buffalo Wild Wings, right?
Ew.
And I know, right? First red flag. Man, I lost my appetite already. It's going to be a good episode. Okay, so we're chilling, and back in the day, they used to have this sampler plate, but it was only the cheese items. So the mozzarella sticks, the cheese curds. And they got the item it's got all the cheese stuff on it. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I want this, right? And me and my buddy were sitting there and we're sharing. And I was like, okay, cool. And he gets his part on his plate, and he takes a bite of the mozzarella stick. Yeah. And you know how when you take a bite of the mozzarella stick, it has the stretchy cheese on it. You know what I'm saying? It's well, he swallowed it before the cheese had, broken. You know what I'm saying? So it was just a big old string coming from his mouth, and he swallowed it.
Like an umbilical cord?
The what?
Like an umbilical cord?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, God.
And he started choking.
Oh no!
All right. And so,
no.
And so he's sitting there, and I was like, "Oh, are you okay, buddy?"
You look over.
And he had a weird choking sound. He just go, and I was like, and then he just starts coughing food out, right? And he's like, and then a big old chunk of cheese comes out.
And then Caleb comes over. He's like, I'll take the second.
Before anything came out, he tried to pull it out, but because it's the mozzarella cheese, it just kept stretching. So like a clown, that's trying to take the handkerchief chain out of his mouth. He's pulling his cheese out like a fish, like he's reeling in a fishing rod.
Brilliant.
And finally, he gets out this giant wadded cheese and just chunks it out on the table. And I was like, you know what, buddy? I'm not hungry anymore.
You lost me at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, it gets worse.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was that. And I've lost my appetite before. That's the only time, because when I'm sick, I'm still eating. You know what I'm saying?
Really?
I'm still.
So even when I'm sick, dude, I can't eat anything but toast, and that's even pushing it.
Nothing ever dampens your appetite, does it, Sam? You don't get that reference because it's from Lord of the Rings, but it rings true.
Rings true.
Okay, stop. That was bad.
No.
Weak. Matt, you have any funny stories about food where you're just like, ugh, or maybe something funny?
I mean, I've always kind of been the weird one, kind of like when I eat in a group of people. Let's say we're watching a horror movie, someone just gets, totally ripped in half or something, and I don't know, eating a steak or something. I'll stare right at that movie, I'm like, man, I always make the same joke every single time. If we're eating and we're watching something gross, I will openly say, man, I'm hungry. And I'll start eating some more. They're like, how could you?
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically it. As far as, funny food story, no.
I'm not a steak guy.
I'm not really good at, thinking of things on the spot.
Are y'all out here steak people? Do you like steak?
No, not really.
I don't like steak.
I very openly love steak.
Yeah.
That is my favorite food.
Yeah.
If if you put a gun to my wife's head and be like, "What's your husband's favorite food?" She knows the answer.
That's not where I thought that was going to go. I thought it was going to be like,
Pick
if
your
there's
wife
if
or
there's a
pick
plate of
Mr.
steak in front of you, buddy, no.
Either your wife
No,
dies,
no.
or you pick
Just
the
give me a
steak.
minute. Ask me later.
But I'm hungry. Well, if you understand, right?
I don't know what it is. Like, the more tender the steak is, definitely, it's great.
I don't really like red meat that much, but I do
love
like
red
chicken
meat.
fried steak. That's good stuff.
Red meat's amazing.
Really?
Yeah,
I
red
mean,
meat.
like, I like burgers, but, like, I prefer turkey burger or something like that, like a substitute or whatever. But,
Okay.
yeah, not much on the steak. I think it's too hard to eat, honestly.
Ground meat is completely different. You're not supposed to have red meat when it comes to ground meat, mainly because if you grind the meat, like the bacteria is all on the outside. So if you cook a steak, it's not ground. If you cook a steak, you've burned all the bacteria that is on the meat. However, if you grind it, now that bacteria is in the meat. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
you know that I like my
if there's
steaks
red
raw.
meat inside of ground meat, that's bad.
How do you like your steaks cooked? Because I'm a little interesting. I like it medium rare.
That sounds very normal. It sounds like a normal way to order your meat.
Yeah,
I'm an interesting fellow. I only drink light beer.
I used to be a well done guy, and after a while, I started to like broaden, spread out my wings, try out some red meat. So I started asking him for medium well, and then medium because I wasn't getting enough red. They would always overcook it, So I asked for mid well, and they gave me well done.
Look at you, the
so
evolution.
I started asking for more and more red meat, and now I'm at the medium rare stage because I like medium steak. That's where I kind of like it to be. So I asked
Yeah.
for medium rare because cooks, I've realized, kind of suck today, and they can't get their temperatures right. So if I ask for medium rare, I'll always get medium, and it's good.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't like steak like that. I hate I get the rare and like I taste it. I can taste the difference when we go to a steakhouse. But I don't like the flavor that much. I don't. So
It's the juice.
I just think they're just too hard to eat. I don't know. I'm
I
wrestling with the steak. all the time.
but I'll slam a rack of ribs. I'll slam anything else. I'll slam the brisket. I saw a funny meme. It was like this guy showed like his steak, and it was like totally like almost like burnt. He was like, "This ain't even well done. This is congratulations."
Oh, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I've been to several steakhouses, and like same thing. You like whiskey, Matt? I hate whiskey. I hate it.
Really?
And it's hilarious because everyone likes it. And I went to a whiskey tasting, and I tried the sweet stuff for women. Peanut butter whiskey sounded real sweet.
That's awful.
And it's just as bad.
I'm like whiskey. It's kind of like my coffee. I need my coffee black. It needs to be in its purest form.
Right.
Like that's just how whiskey needs to be.
Yeah.
Drink. However you say it.
Yeah.
But drinked. But as soon as you start adding sugar to it, you're just like, ugh, I feel so sick afterwards.
Well, and the
It's not
peanut
good.
butter stuff, they just like dump a whole jar of peanut butter in it because it tastes like Jiffy.
And I'm so,
Yeah.
and I'm so sensitive to sugar that
Yeah,
I couldn't do
it was
that.
an alcoholic
There's
Jiffy.
so much sugar in there. It's just not, it just ruins the taste. You would say that the taste is awful. You're trying to hide it as much as you can.
It didn't
No,
work.
I totally agree. Whiskey is one of the stronger ones. But if you try all different types of whiskeys, you'll notice that some are watered down.
Mm-hmm.
Some have a real like wooden barrel flavor. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I've had the top shelf Jimmy Walker Black Label, and like I can taste the difference. It's like, okay, I can tell this is a good whiskey. I just don't like whiskey. It's like it's just not my thing. So it's like, ooh,
And it is strong. That
Yeah.
barrel taste, that wooden flavor, it's very strong. And
Yeah.
the one that you just mentioned.
absolutely. And like I can taste the difference. Like I can at least know, like my taste buds know the difference between peanut butter whiskey and actual whiskey.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, guys, the most important topic of today, the one we're going to get to.
Yeah.
Anime?
No.
Good
It's-
Lord, get the weeb. Who let the weeb in? Am I
Yeah,
right?
ugh.
Well, I opened the door myself. So
It's called Animese. We're going to talk about Animese today. All right, I want to talk about.
the guy who talks about anime.
Can I finish?
Yeah, I'm
Are you done? I want to talk about when is it okay to cut people off? Is it
Like
okay?
in traffic?
Very good. Thank you for asking your clarifying question.
Yeah, I thought I just cut you off and it was perfect.
And I think
It's
that's
different.
warrant another discussion. There's sometimes good times to cut people off, let me tell you.
Hey, you know what? That was a good. That's a good way to put it. Yes, it's okay if it's funny. Depends on the joke.
It depends who's talking. There's some, I don't know about you guys, but there's some people that you'll invite. I'm not going to say any names, but there are some people at a party that you kind of just invite them so they don't feel out. But there are some people you just don't want to talk.
There's some people you don't invite to the party. No, I'm talking about out of your life.
Yeah.
Is it okay to cut people out of your life completely?
Oh, that's completely different than what him and I were talking about.
I thought y'all were getting on the
No,
joke.
I knew what you really meant. I was making a joke, but
I wasn't.
to answer the question,
That would not be a 40-minute conversation.
Dude,
I have a lot to say on this, but I'll just say short summary answer, and we'll get deeper, I suppose. Is yes, I think it's actually can be incredibly healthy. Depends on the situation, but I think it actually can be very healthy and growing for you.
Is there a hard line, or is there like a...
Do you mean a hard line of cutting people off, or a hard line of them stepping over?
Yeah, stepping over.
Stepping over, absolutely. There should be, at least.
Okay.
Now, there's not one inherently, but that's for you to develop yourself.
Yeah,
that's
as a
for you
person.
to draw yourself what that line is. And honestly, it all comes down to being honest with yourself. What hurts you the most? What bothers you the most? What have you tried to fix and clearly is not going to get fixed? Because, I also believe in kind of like a semi-strike policy. And that sounds weird when it comes to relationships. But, I think good friendship can last throughout hardships, They can, like good friends have endurance. Good friends talk things out. That's different than someone crossing the line in, to a point where there's almost no return. Or, in order for both you guys to grow, almost like relationships, dating relationships, for both you to grow, you guys both have to step back. And sometimes one person has to be the guy to say it or a girl to say it,
That's a good point you bring that up, because I think most of the time it's me having to draw the line and be like, hey, because the only way I've grown, unfortunately, is when either a breakup or like some kind of hardship with a friend. But those are I learned the hard way, is what I'm trying to say. And it's like when we've had to take that step back, that's where I've done the most growth. And it's when we have to cut off the bad relationship, friend or otherwise, But do you have any thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, I do, but it's completely unrelated to what y'all are talking about. It's still on the topic of when she cut someone out of your life. But
We're not talking about traffic.
Mine was a lot more drastic, I should say. Weird. It's not a long story. It's just a weird one. I've hardly cut anybody out of my life because I'm always open to them, and also for shallow reasons. I just don't like you as a person. So I'm not gonna cut you out. You can still text me, but I'm definitely not texting you. And that's normal for me. But I was gonna say, I have just one story of there was this friend that I had. It was a girl. I'm not going to say what the situation was or what her name is or nothing. But she said that she was starting to have homicidal thoughts. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was trying to wrap this meeting up. It's time. It is really time for me to go. You know what I mean? And I was looking up online. I was like, what do I do if somebody tells me they're having these thoughts? You know what I mean? And nobody has a good answer. All I could look to was Reddit, and they didn't have anything for me there. You can't call the police on them.
Towards you or just in general?
It wasn't specified, and I wasn't sticking around to find out. You know what I mean?
She's like, oh, you're looking at Reddit. That's what someone who's about to die would do.
Man, it was time to go. You know what I mean? And so I was just like, hey, you know what? I just remember I've got this thing. I got this thing to go to. At first, it was more of I'm having depression. Hey, I am here for you. I am willing to talk to you. Yeah. At some point, it felt like what I was saying wasn't helping anymore, and the reason they weren't opening up to me is because the big bombshell is that they were having homicidal thoughts. And I was like, you know what? I need to go.
I agree with you. That's a very drastic line. And
it's a very drastic line.
I was going to say...
was she a friend, though?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Known her for 2 years. And
how did you approach not talking to that person anymore?
Well, I was already on the fence about it, so they definitely do not know my address. You're like, hey, I want to hang out. Can I come to you? Nope. I'll come to you though. You know what I mean? And so as soon as that line was drawn, gone. You know what I mean? We're not talking. Blocked. You don't know where I live.
Yeah.
You don't know what I drive.
Was that a real close friend of yours?
I wouldn't say terribly close, but I'm very open to being as close of a friend as I can be to people until we start acting a little crazy. Then it's you know what, I've got a wonderful life and I'd like to keep living it.
Okay, so for me it's more a good friend of mine you know, and it was a tough decision because like everyone on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and whatever, like they make it sound like, oh, if you don't like my political posts, I'll just, you know, I have no problem blocking you. It's not what I'm talking about. Also, it's not that easy. It's not that easy for me to like have a friend, whoever. I can't have someone like that and just be like, you know, oh, I'm just gonna cut them off. Like it's not that simple for me because I met them at a good point in my life where it's like, okay, we connected in some way, and that's why we have each other on Facebook and whatnot. Like it's like, it was something like legit, you know. And I tried to. So this person I'm thinking of in particular, it was a gradual thing over the course of like I want to say almost 2 years, year and a half. It was like a whole thing where we're hanging out every day, we're having fun, we're playing board games together, we're going to WinStar together, we're doing all these really cool things. And just over the course of time, and like I let stuff go, but the argument it started off, there weren't arguments, there were just like debates, like we talked about stuff we disagreed with in the Bible and all that kind of stuff, and it was like, okay, you know, that's fine. But then it kind of got to like he started getting super toxic with it, where he was like, you know, hey, I read this passage and I think you're living your life wrong. And I'm just like, all right, you know, I disagree because that's not what I think it's saying. But he's like, and then it would start with that, with like, hey, let's talk about this, and then it would build up to, you know, hey, I think your whole life is wrong on something because of something I read. Or he'd be like, and then it would just get worse and worse, where, hey, bro, you're actually sinning if you're doing this, you know. And he just kept ramping it up to where like, okay, you're not actually a Christian if you did. And he kept doing that. And he kept doing that on stuff that he would eventually, like after a couple of months, be like, "Oh, I changed my mind on that." Right. But by that point, when he changed his mind, it would be this big old argument where he's pissing me off, I'm pissing him off, and we're like, yelling at each other. And then and then he'd just be like, "Oh, never mind. I don't think that anymore." Yeah. And it just kept happening over and over and over. And then there was one time we went camping, and he kept just like snapping at me for stuff like that just like annoyed me. I was like, bro, like I'm really annoyed when you do that stuff. So I waited till the trip was over, and I tried to talk to him about it. And he was like, I was like, hey, bro, like I just didn't appreciate what you said. And he just like flipped out, and he's like, everyone's picking on me. They're always hanging all my past mistakes over my head. Just being super like, bro, I just told you, like, here's something. You're supposed to talk through things like that and be like, hey, bro, I didn't like what you said. It upset me, hurt my feelings, it embarrassed me. And you're supposed to talk through it. And then he just like flips out and was like, no, everyone holds everything over my head, and and then he like storms off and drives. I hear his car drive off, and I was like, okay, well, that was dumb. Yeah. Well,
so just to add a little bit to that, I'm not going to go into details like at all. Mm-hmm. But with my case, it was actually a really, really good friend of mine, kind of like yours, like almost every day hanging out, doing absolutely everything together. And this person actually didn't do anything wrong. Mm-hmm. That's the difference. This person actually didn't do anything wrong, yet I felt incredibly anxious around them. Again, not because they did anything, but it wasn't helping me. Like, I wasn't developing. I wasn't growing. So, in a weird way, by no fault of their own, I had to cut it off because of me, to be honest. That's never happened before. People have cut me out of their lives before, but like I've never cut someone out of my life because I was, the problem, or I was the one who was not creating toxicity, but just like creating anxiety for myself, But yeah, I pick my friends really, really, really carefully. So I tend to not have these big blow-ups, with people. I have before, but like that's why I pick them so carefully. And yeah, I'm very confrontational now. So if there is a problem, like if like you were saying, I'm the type of person to find you and talk it out and make sure we don't have any problems. Because I hate more than anything things building up behind your back and people attributing like attributes to you, like personality traits that are not your own, or telling people, oh, this guy's this way or this guy's this, he said this to me when I really never said that. It's only because they're perceiving that. Yeah. So if you never actually talk about it, that just hurts both people in the process.
I agree. I don't know. It was a gradual thing because the first like 6 months of us being friends, we were tight, and it was a really tough decision for me to be like, look, I can't do this anymore, and it's like, it doesn't just happen overnight. Like, don't get me wrong, when I was younger, it was harder. Sometimes I'd take something somebody said personally and just like let it drive a wedge between us. For the longest time, I couldn't have a best friend. And that, that's, I'd say that was more so my fault because I would let something they said, instead of addressing it with them, I just like let it turn into resentment. And like that was something I did. That was, a mistake on my end. Like if they said something wrong, even if they were in the wrong, I'd never handle it correctly. Yeah. First instance of that was one of my first best friend outside of high school. Good guy. Sometimes in sometimes in college he was a jerk. And like if you had your opinion on something and he disagreed with him, he tried to make me feel stupid about it. And it's like that's not good. But instead of like talking to him about it, asking him to ease up on it, or like, hey bro, like you don't have to take everything I say so serious where you got to make me look look dumb in front of people.
Yeah.
Because like deep down, I don't think he was trying to be a bully. That's just how he did it, you know. And so instead of like talking with him about it and giving him a chance to fix things, I cut it off. And it was a perfect transition for me to like cut him off, where I got a new job. We weren't in the same classes anymore, and we never got to see each other on campus. I started making new friends. So it was a perfect way, even though we were self-proclaimed best friends.
Yeah.
I found a way to just like just cut him off, and then like he would message me, and he texted me on my birthday one time, just saying, "Hey, miss you," and I just ignore it, you know. And it's not the best way to do it. So for a lot of my young adult life, before where I'm at now, the times that people were cut off were my fault. It was stuff, you know, I didn't handle stuff correctly. The most recent person I'm talking about, it was tough because I felt like, I'm doing wrong. I still don't handle everything well because I'm human, but I'm sitting here like, you know, I'm trying to work. I would try to work things out with him, and he would just take it as a personal slight. I'm holding him down. Yeah. He said, you know, and he's like, I'm tired of what people, you know, worrying about what people think of me. And I was like, all right, bro, fine, you know. And then I let him have his temper tantrums. I let him storm off, and he wasn't willing to change, and stuff just kept getting worse and worse. Because I'm in leadership now at our church, and he would come to the groups and be disruptive. He'd start in front of people, starting arguments, telling people they're wrong, lashing out at people. I was like, bro, you gotta go. So we have to kick him out of group. We gotta like, hey, I don't want to talk to him anymore. He hasn't tried to reach out, but you know, I'm just like, bro, I don't want to do this again, you know. And it's like, but is that good? Is that okay? Yeah. You know, and like, what do you think?
As long as so I think that's really good to do. Again, you have to like be really careful of who you press the big red button on. Typically, you have to keep in mind there's probably a no coming back. I would say, hey, if you ever want to talk, if you really care about this person, generally care about this person, if you ever want to talk, you know, I'm here, but like that's all it's going to be. Mm-hmm. There's some things that need to be worked out on my end, your end, whatever. It doesn't matter. Like, things need to change before we can actually hang out again. Yeah. And if you feel like that's not going to happen, then hey, like, I wish for you the best. What you want to avoid, though, is going to war with people. I've found myself that even if I'm in, like, in the right, quote unquote, sometimes I'm very stubborn and I'll go to war with or I have before in the past. I've gone to war with someone over like something that started as a little thing, and I had people backing me up and they had people backing them up. And then at the end, like, it just kind of drained myself completely. I started actually like coming to conclusions that weren't really logical, you know, like I just became so caught up in the actual argument of it. And I started resenting them so much that I was my whole judgment was clouded. So like, as long as you just keep things open to the point where like I care about you, generally I care about you, still you are kind of a friend to me, you know, in some way, shape or form, but like this can't happen. Like I can't have this happen. Like I cannot grow with you, you know, like we're just not compatible, you know, whatever you want to say, whatever the scenario is, it's all different. And we're not going to talk about this for a variety of reasons, but I would even say it sometimes extends out to family. Mm-hmm. Like literally, there are some family members you got to cut out of your life. Yeah. And a lot of people are going to judge you for it. A lot of people are going to shame you for it and tell you that you're wrong and that's not what, you know, should be done. But honestly, like, as long as it's out of love for yourself and this other person, even just for yourself, you want to grow, like, sometimes it's necessary.
Yeah. What about you, Matt? You got any thoughts?
Well, this might be a hot take, okay? My life is short and I'm trying to grow myself. So honestly, if the disparity between the argument between us is that drastic, I don't have time to waste on you. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need to try to figure this out. If it's something that we cannot get past, there's no reason for me to start wasting my breath. I've got people that I love. I've got people that I can talk to. I've got people that I can agree with. Those are the people that I need in my life. I don't need to waste any more of my time because this could last for a very long time. Yeah. You know?
Is there a line between surrounding yourself with just people that'll agree with you, or for you?
I was about to say.
Because the answer is yes.
I don't want to say an echo chamber. They're definitely my best friend. I'm not going to bring up politics, but I will say politically, her and I are opposites. Yeah. You know, we just disagree. But we don't fight over it. You know what I mean? Sometimes we can have a good discussion where we're going back and forth for a long while on what she thinks and what I think, and we're very respectful of each other. But we just, at the very end, say, let's just agree to disagree. Yeah. But we are still best friends to this day. You know, I'm going to see her tomorrow. We're going to, you know, she's going to come over and watch TV with us.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, you actually want to surround your people, or have, like, a healthy balance, probably, of people of all different, like, viewpoints, just so you don't, like you said, create an echo chamber for yourself and you don't become enveloped in your own view of the world that may or may not be correct or flawed in some way, because every view is flawed. You know, there's always flaws to find. And I think by keeping that healthy balance, you know, there's always going to be some sort of accountability. There needs to be accountability. I think having friends with various viewpoints can keep you accountable. Absolutely. But yes, when it becomes hostile, when it becomes toxic on a consistent basis, you also have to make sure that's the case. If it's a consistent basis, make sure that they're okay.
Yeah.
Make sure if something's totally different, like, oh my gosh, this person never acted this way before. Look at their life, ask them about it, like, hey, if you're willing to share, what is going, like, if something's happening, I notice you're acting a little different, or am I okay? Did I do anything wrong? Like, come at a humble opinion or a humble stance, because you don't want to seem like you're attacking them. And there's might be a chance that you said something that they didn't like and be like, okay, you know what? I apologize. Let's talk through that. Or it could be something completely different that they're just taking out on you or whoever just because. You have to make absolute sure that this is like why it happened. Almost like sending someone to the death penalty. Like, sounds awful, but like legitimately, you want to make sure that this is literally the only way, or this is the only solution for no one ever get hurt.
Yeah. I don't know. It's tough because for this individual, it's happened multiple times where it's like, hey, my bad.
For that individual, I agree with what you did. But
and it's like it was something that happened, and I get it. Like, I don't just give on a. Usually, recently I've done this, but I usually don't give people the one strike, you're done. Yeah. I have with one person, but that was kind of in regards to a relationship, and I'm not going to get into why. They might listen. Who knows? I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but this other person that I've been talking about is just like, I forgive them, I let it go, but then it just keeps happening, and it gets toxic, and then they won't take any accountability. They won't really say they're sorry unless somebody else tells them to, because they don't think they're wrong. And it's not about being wrong or right either. I'm not trying to say that, but I don't know. It's really tough because, like, it being such a close friend of mine, I know people on social media make it look so easy to just cut people off, but it's not. It hurts because it's someone you trusted. It's someone you felt like you could walk into any situation with and just go on and get it done, and then it turns into like, bro, I don't want to talk to you anymore.
I mean, that brings up like two important points. The first one is that it's not easy,
right?
But the second point is that there's no right choice. As an adult, you kind of come to realize that no matter what choice you make, it's probably not the right one. There's probably an infinite number of wrong ones to make, but that's your job as an adult to look at your factors and make the choice that you think is best. There is there's no right answer, besides the case of like extreme examples.
Right, yeah.
Now, you shouldn't get mad if you sell yourself out too much.
And that's an important distinction to make, so I'm glad you brought that up. Please elaborate.
Like, if you are the type of person to give up all your time, all your effort, all your emotion, everything to your friends, and like not just friends, but like everyone you know. Like, if you're very not easy to sway, but like if someone really is like struggling with something and you don't really know them that well, but you're just such a people lover that you want to give them all your time, or if you even know them a little bit better, like you want to give this person all your time, you want to help them throughout any situation, and suddenly their life becomes your life, or your life becomes their life. Like, it's not about that healthy balance anymore. And say you pour yourself into someone who you didn't really know that well, or you thought you knew, and everything blows up, then how much can you put that blame on that person if you gave too much of yourself to that person? It could even be someone you know really well. When there's like a dependency that's formed, or like too much trust, like in reality, no, you cannot never put 100% trust in anyone. That's just what reality is.
That's true.
You have to take risks. That's what life is. It's about risks. It's a risk to call someone your best friend, because you know what? You can't say with all certainty they're never going to hurt me in any way. Believing that is different than actually reality, though. If you're believing that, wanting to believe that, you know what? Just say, even if it happens, we're going to fight through this, even if it happens. But always keep in the back of your head, like, if this doesn't work out, it's not the end of the world. No one's going to die over this, I mean, friends move on. Like, that's just how life is.
That's true.
Very rarely do people make it through their life, beginning to end, with the same amount of friends. I have changed friend groups more times than I can count. Right now, I have like 5 different friend groups. Yeah. And I'm not going to know all of them in 10 years.
Right.
There are some of them where I thought I was going to know them until my wedding day. And like literally, I don't even talk to them anymore.
You just keep postponing it.
That's why they left. That's why they're not friends with them. But like, when it happens to you so much, you just kind of move on. They're friends for a season, and that's it.
Right.
But don't make a nest. Don't, make a nest until you know that is where you're supposed to be.
A lot of people are taking that personally, too. Because like you said, you're going to change friend groups and all those other things. And it's like, look, dude, like I graduated college and I moved away. Like I love to come see you when I come by. Because I go by there quite a bit, know, and I stop to say hi. But like, it's not going to be like it was. I got a whole new life now.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of times, 2 like biggest moments that happens is like, or 3, is when you move away, or you go to college, or you get married. Typically when you get married, that is like do or die. That is either you dump all your friends friends,
Yeah.
or you only keep the ones you really, really care
Married
about.
with kids, like that's it. That's your life now.
exactly.
You know, your kids and wife are supposed
Sometimes
to
the
be.
wife's like, well, we need to move on, like, or the husband's like that.
Sure.
You know, it really depends. It takes a lot of effort for married couples, to still have friend groups outside of their marriage. I think it's actually really healthy, but it takes a lot of effort for that to happen.
Yeah.
It's rare though, so don't get hurt if someone gets married and doesn't talk to you anymore,
Yeah.
or they go to college and they don't talk to you anymore. Like not because they hate you or because they're glad they're gone. It's more like their lives are moving on. If they don't stick with it, then they're going to fall back into a pit, you know, that they don't want to be in.
Yeah. So I know, Shaps, you said you didn't want to talk about family, but does that mean you
I'm
prefer-
comfortable talking about family.
Okay. I was gonna say, well, what about the rest of us? Can I bring up family stuff?
Well, that's what I was kind of trying to avoid. But if you want to, by all means, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, it is a lot more complicated with family members.
Tread lightly.
I know. Oh, forgot you're still here. No. Okay, so Matt, I kind of want to bring up our biological dad. I'm not talking about mom.
I
and
wanted to
dad.
bring it up too.
Yeah.
Because
Okay,
that's a very
Go
very
for it,
big
guys.
topic.
Yeah, and let's we don't have to give everything.
Yeah,
But
sure.
like, so you still talk to him. Let's get that out there.
So, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
We have our reasons for not talking to him. I have just now. This is counterproductive to the argument I'm trying to make here, which is like you need to cut people out of your life that aren't beneficial to you. But the thing is, man, it's my dad, and I have some fond memories of him. I also have some really bad memories of him, and I won't go into detail what those are.
Yeah.
But I understand he's kind of a lost cause, and I can recognize that. But there's still that, it's my dad, you know?
Yeah.
And I still want to care for him to some extent. There are some things that I just won't do, and that's take care of him financially.
For sure.
I've tried that once. It's
a bottomless
it
pit.
was not, it was not good because, you know, give someone an inch, they'll take a mile, and that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, well, that's
mean,
nice of you to admit and like talk and go into that.
That's another example. Hey, when's it healthy for you to cut someone out? And he's someone that I haven't cut out completely,
Right.
but he's definitely someone that I don't openly try to seek, you know, what's the
Fellowship.
word for it? Yeah, fellowship with. You know, he texted me the other day. He was like, hey, the art festival starts today. You know, I was
Ooh,
like,
I was there.
well, isn't that nice?
Yeah. Have fun.
I've only had to cut one family member out of my life, but they're not that related to me. So
Gotcha.
yeah, I can't imagine what that's like, to be honest. But like without that particular experience, I mean, like I think it's honorable for you to still not seek out a relationship with your dad, but to still recognize that there are some people who generally I understand completely if you do not see that person as your father, like 100%. Don't judge anyone for saying, you know, otherwise. But yeah, it is also important to realize, you know, that's what separates us from animals, you know, a lot of times is just honor and recognizing, you know, what's been put in our lives for a reason. Yeah. Friendships, family, some go, some stay, some die out just naturally.
Sure.
And
not our dad. He's gonna outlive all of us.
you have to take advantage of as much as you can, not in a selfish way, but like what is given to you through life. You know, whatever you believe. Like, if you believe that this has been given to you for a reason, then use it for a good reason, and then like make the most out of it.
Yeah.
Just don't dwell in it because again, everything in this life's temporary. Life's way too short to dwell on something for too long.
Yeah. I'm with you. Dwelling on something too long. So like the person I did cut out. I don't dwell on it because it's like, you know, it's done. And like with our dad, I don't know. I actually don't. You don't have to tell me because it doesn't matter to me. But like, I don't know how he feels about me. If I were to ever try to like talk to him, I feel like he would, but it would be more so to get stuff out of me.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be to actually make a real connection because he doesn't know what a real connection looks like. Yeah. He's been so damaged with every, you know, his parents' relationship not good. His marriage is not good, you know, and I don't think he knows what a healthy relationship looks like. Yeah. So for him to say like, yeah, I want to connect with my son, he doesn't know what a healthy connection with anyone looks like. Yeah. So it's, you know, and just the way he lives, the way he talks about, you know, mom, and the way he talks about us behind our backs, it's like, bro, it's just so toxic. And having him in my life it would be such an anchor, you know, to where it would make me just go backwards. Because like he He's one of those guys to where like he wants us to quit our jobs just to go live with him and do nothing. You know, it's like, bro, like, do you not understand like how much that would set people up for failure? Like if we were raised under you, you know,
So,
he just doesn't get it.
I mean, best advice I can give that scenario, again, not experiencing that myself,
Sure.
is that in your scenario, that might be the healthiest for you.
Yeah.
But try, and again, life's all about making effort. Try to love him from a distance then.
As much as I can.
As much as you can. Yeah, I get it. Believe me, I understand.
Prayer works well.
Sure.
Just prayer, whatever you believe in, whatever gets you there.
This isn't a religious podcast, so I'm gonna send my vibes his direction. Here, let me send positive vibes to him.
Positive vibes.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, like, it doesn't matter if you believe in God or not. Just like care for them from a distance, because forgiveness is good for anyone.
Sure. And I'm not mad at him. I don't have any anger toward him.
But like, also, it's a daily process, because just as easy as you get yourself out of hole, you can fall right back into it.
Sure. I would say like, if, without him, I wouldn't be so funny. You know.
Now, we're talking about hypotheticals here. Since you asked the question, if you did speak with him again, what would happen is he will not acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Whatever issues that we are not stating here, it doesn't matter to him. I don't think that it's not that it matters to him. He just won't talk about it. You know what I mean? Completely oblivious to the facts that the past happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is that healthy?
No. I think he genuinely is the person who has lied so much in his life that he believes his own lies. You know, as far as what we know happens, he denies it to this day. I truly believe he believes it. You know, so I'm pretty sure he's more than willing to talk to you because he thinks nothing wrong happened.
He thinks we're friends.
He thinks we're just best buds, and we're holding it above his head. But that's just kind of one of those things.
That's an interesting thing to say.
Yeah,
I never thought about that, but you're probably right.
I probably am on this one.
Yeah.
Now, since we've talked a lot about, I'm not going to say religion, but Christian topics on this particular episode, I wanted to bring something up that I think you might find interesting.
Okay.
Do you remember Affabel?
Mm-hmm. I was listening to it the other day.
It's funny that you say that because I did recently, and I was so surprised at how much of the story I remembered.
Well, it's my fault for making y'all listen to it 80 billion times.
Well, no, I mean, it wasn't a problem at all because I was like, you know what? I want to hear that thing again. Yeah. And so when I was listening to it, I was like...
Real quick, for those who don't know what it is.
So there's this televangelist, Christian author named John Bevere. He's written tons of books that have really helped me. And he has a radio drama series. You don't get this reference, Shaps, but he got a bunch of Hollywood actors to act out this thing. And it's a radio drama. And the guy that plays God is voiced by the guy that plays Gimli from Lord of the Rings. So he voices God. It's about how we live our lives now on Earth will affect how we live in heaven. So that's the gist of the story. But anyway, go ahead, man.
Well, the reason I said it is because I've been making a lot of like personal changes in my life in the last week. You know what I mean? I listened to it and I was like, Lord, I'm so sorry. I've been living in sin. And so it spoke to me so much that I mean, you heard it recently. You probably have the same outlook. But I was like, you know what? You know who needs to hear this? My wife. And so I stuck her in the car for 2 hours. I was like, we are going to listen to this on this road trip. And sure enough, the same thing happened to her. She was like, maybe I'm not living my life right. So we had like a real heart-to-heart after it.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's about the life that we live on Earth, the choices that we make, and that we don't know how much time that we have left.
Right.
And once our time is up, it is done. There is no changing your mind at the last second.
Right.
No convincing yourself that you were righteous this whole time.
Yeah.
Judgment is final. And so we're thinking about our lives not in the respect of like how we're living our lives today. We should be focusing on how we're going to be living for eternity.
I'm glad you brought that up. That's right. I'm with you. I got to talk to a buddy of mine from college. He was my small group leader. Back then, I wasn't living the way I live now. I wasn't living correctly. But we talked about that. Like it's once you start getting a bigger purpose, it's not about us anymore. And it's about we're serving for a higher purpose. But anyway. We can go down that whole rabbit hole.
Do I need to play the whole song in the corner now?
I know.
Can I get the keys up now?
I'm sorry, guys. I kept that part short.
I completely recommend it to anyone who's just looking for a change in their lives.
I recommend you read any John Bevere book because they're all very good. So, anyway. Yeah. Okay. So the biggest thing is like, yeah, I think it's okay if you have to, because at the end of the day, you got to look at your life. Are they bringing you down? Are they helping you? You got to look in. It's okay to ask people for their opinion, and not just yes men, like you said. It has to be like, am I in the wrong? Because of course, there's not stuff. I didn't do everything right in that situation with that friend. Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm. And I think like yes men and echo chambers are kind of like a door of opportunity to extremism.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So you don't want to go down that road.
You really don't.
And like Shap said, there's got to be a balance.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a situation I had, I asked, it was a very important situation to me, and I had to ask the only two people I knew who could help me with this. And it was in regards to a relationship. And I was like, I know how I feel, but I could be wrong. So I need to grab two people that I know will tell me, they're looking out for me too. They're not going to give me bad advice to mess with my life. Mm-hmm. So I had to go to those two people that I knew would give me clarity on it, or at least look at it from a perspective of like, take the emotions out, because they're not the ones in that situation, and they were able, and both of them told me stuff that I didn't want to hear, but it was like, but it helped me to see like, okay, I'm at least not unjustified in how I feel. You know what I mean? They didn't just tell me what I wanted to hear. They told me how it is. And that's what you got to surround yourself with. People that are going to be honest with you, but to make you a better person, not just to hurt you, not just to tell you what you want to hear. People that are able to build you up and make you stronger. So, this individual that I know, they recently, I bumped into them. And my best friend was telling me how much this person's changed and they've improved. And like, I guess I could, like, in theory, give him another chance and whatnot. But I don't know. It's like, I don't know if I have the energy for that again. That not just going based on the past hurts, but also the understanding that like my life's so different now. If we were to start hanging out like we used to, I don't even think I have the time for it because I'm so busy. It's like, when I look back fondly on that time, I'd have loved to have grown with that person and find a way to mesh both worlds together and make it work better. But it really just feels like now I'm at a different place. I've moved on. And going back and hanging out with them till midnight or 2 a.m. sometimes, it kind of just feels like it'd be a step backwards, even if we were having fun, not arguing.
And the same thing with relationships, romantic relationships, do not make people projects.
Right.
They're on the same earth, same way as you, same set of rules. Like, you can try to help people out, but like once you start looking at them as like an actual like project or like a task, then you start to almost like dehumanize them in a weird way. Yeah. Even though you feel like you're being sympathetic, empathetic, whatever, you're not actually being that person's friend. Like you said,
you're trying to change them into the friend that you want.
You got the two friends together because you knew they were going to tell you the truth. That's what true friendship is. Yeah. It's hard stuff. It's hard to be a friend. It's hard to be a best friend or a friend to someone. Like, it's not super easy. I hate it when people are like, I have so many friends. It's so easy to meet people. It's like, are those people actually like friends? Right. Are those people going to drag you out of bar fights? Are those people going
to get you into them?
Or are those people going to? Are you going to blow up this person and throw everything you have at them, and they're going to forgive you the next day and move through it, like move past it? That's what a friend is, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. You have any closing thoughts on the topic, Matt?
No, I'm pretty dry. I think y'all did a pretty good explanation.
Yeah. That's why we have a third person here, though, for the Third Wheel podcast.
So we go live one day.
Yeah, one day we're going to go live and make sure none of us say any...
Anyone can go and talk whatever they want.
I'm going to be tiptoeing around all the words that I say at home.
How are y'all doing today?
ChatGPT, what should I say?
Doing well. What is the name of that dumb child's game? Is it like the I game where you have to say words that don't include the letter I? So you have to speak really slowly,
right? Exactly.
With intent.
Yeah, you're right. And it's like I'll be like, "How's the weather, chaps?" Like, you can't say anything racist about the weather.
It is.
I would never say anything racist, but
neutral.
Okay, we're about to get canceled, and it's my fault.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, I'm excited to transition to the eating portion. Chef, are you eating already during the eating portion of this podcast?
Oh, was this not the food? Okay.
Yeah, if you hear the crinkling
I'm
throughout
over here,
this,
like excited to eat.
Yeah, and he's just going to town. Luckily, he's eating some snacks I brought, not the item I actually had prepared for today.
To hold me off.
Yeah, so I have with us, in the spirit of Stranger Things, which isn't going to be out for a long time, and the last season came out a year ago, so we're late. I found, as I was shopping, Eggo Pop-Tarts.
Eggo Pop-Tarts.
As in Eggo waffles. Lego my Eggo.
Like,
Eleven would be so proud of this project.
Are these Eggo waffles in the shape of Pop-Tarts, or Pop-Tarts in the shape of Eggo waffles?
The first one. So I insisted we all open this before we got started, but Shaps was like, "No, I'm gonna open it on air."
Yeah.
So feel
Well,
free to
hey,
open.
okay, audience, you tell us. Do you like it whenever we open the Coke cans, or unwrap the wrappers on mic, live, raw? Or would you rather us produce something, like have it all figured out from the very beginning? No. This is going to be my honest opinion. I don't even know what this thing looks like. Okay? This is what you get, audience. This is what you pay for.
That's
gotta-
exactly why I opened it up before the episode
This
started.
is what you pay for.
I'm gonna have to cut this whole part
Can
out.
you hear me? Ooh, it smells great.
Doesn't it smell good though?
It smells like syrup. Holy crap.
Yeah, because
It does
like,
smell like
I ain't
syrup.
gonna lie to you. When we opened it earlier, I was like, "Oh,
Now that does not look appetizing.
that gust of like, oh,
Okay.
heaven."
This doesn't look appetizing because it looks like someone put mustard all over my pop.
I'm gonna. So just looking at it from the back end, it's very yellow. Like the actual.
It's very yellow.
Before you get to the frosting, if you just look at the backside, it's a very yellow Pop Tart.
I'm worried if this is just going to be like straight up like syrup, or are we
Like-
going to taste like some hints
It smells
of
like
waffle
syrup.
This is
butter.
actual
It does smell a lot like syrup.
mustard colored, and then there's white, so it looks like mayonnaise. So
Mayonnaise.
Now I flip it over and I see it's got the white frosting, but then it's got the yellow drizzle all over
Yep.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this side, the part that looks like a waffle color.
it. No, I said before we get to the back side, it's yellow.
Okay.
Yeah, but now I flip
There-
it over to the front, and
there is nothing waffly about this.
you're right. It's
Besides the color
the
of
mustard.
the actual Pop-Tart.
The drizzle looks like mustard. It looks like somebody was like burnt all
I was
over.
gonna, well, actually, you're right. Put it on a glizzy. It does
Okay.
look like a.
Regardless of
some
how I
mustard stripes.
feel, this actually smells amazing. I bet it would smell even better on a toaster. In a toaster.
I thought you were gonna say it smells even better when I'm chewing it, and then you like take a bite.
Well, why don't you eat one and then put the other one in the toaster?
All right, everyone.
Are we doing like
Wait,
an
hold on,
ASMR
I'm not ready
take?
yet.
Do an ASMR take, or you get real close to the mic?
Yeah, no, I'm cutting this part.
Anything
out.
else you want to describe to the audience?
No, okay, so is this syrup, this little brown stuff? Could this be the syrup part?
Yeah, it's poking out a little bit there.
Yeah, it's weird. It looks weird, okay? It smells amazing. It's probably going to taste pretty good, but it looks so weird. I'm
Okay.
scared.
Ready?
No, I guess as I'll ever be.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Synchronize.
Wow, it tastes like a Pop Tart. I'm not getting anything in this bite.
No,
Maybe it tastes better 5 bites in.
dude, it tastes just like one of those cinnamon ones. Like exactly
hold on.
like it.
Wait, though. The aftertaste. Do you get
The
Eggo?
syrup, the aftertaste is straight syrup.
I don't know. I kind of get the waffle part in the aftertaste. Before you take another bite, just like stew on that for a second.
I see what you mean, but it tastes way too much similar to the cinnamon Pop Tart.
Yeah, it tastes very similar. The only thing I think is different is the smell. It smells just like
I
syrup.
only know that because the only two Pop Tarts I ever would eat were the cinnamon and the Oreo ones.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie. As I chew this and reflect on the aftertaste, I looked at the Pop Tart box, and when I saw the waffle in my head, I was eating a waffle.
What?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I taste waffles now.
Yeah,
That's a weird one.
it's weird. I think it's more scientific and psychological than we let on, because I'm pairing the taste
That's
with the
such
picture.
bullcrap. It's the same Pop Tart.
No,
I'm telling
'cause
you, it tastes the exact
no,
same.
brown
it smells
sugar.
different and
Yeah.
it looks different. The only difference.
See, brown sugar. This tastes like syrup when you get to the sweet part, but syrup and brown sugar taste different. And I would say this does taste like syrup too.
No, dude. If I put
Final comments. It's very underwhelming, I must say.
two, well, I like it because I like the cinnamon ones. Like that's the only reason I like it. If I put both of them right in front of you, you would not be able to tell. I guarantee that. I put money on that. Can't smell them though.
Are you saying we got to come back and
we gotta come back.
and do a taste test?
Huh.
Okay.
I want my. Y'all can't
How about-
see it, but we could probably blindfold Chaps and see if he can actually tell the difference.
I think we should both be blindfolded.
No. I can't tell the difference. Caleb would be the one blindfolded.
Oh yeah, you're right. My
But
mistake. Caleb,
I know it by smell.
I'm
Well,
still eating. I apologize.
I'm not.
I'm going to both. I'm eating the second one right now.
Are you not gonna try and toast it?
No.
I don't think I like it that much, and I like Pop Tarts. I ain't gonna lie. I don't think this tastes that good.
Like I said, it's very underwhelming.
Yeah, I'd rather eat a regular Eggo. And I watch 11 from the show eat them right out of the box.
Oh.
And this isn't
How the
good.
Lord intended.
Yeah.
You know.
Also, who's got time for toasting?
I think I had more fun talking about our estranged father
Oh man.
because this isn't enjoyable at all.
Well, thank you.
I wanted to try out that Peep soda. Y'all made it sound
That was
so
good, bro. That was delicious. Now in every store near you next year.
Or maybe some of those Jonas Brother popcorn.
No, that was very mediocre.
Well, the part that made it funny was the story of the guy.
So the popcorn I've been munching on this entire show that you may or may not have noticed, better than this Pop-Tart, yes.
I knew a guy who knew a guy who had a son who met the Jonas Brothers. And
So-
decided to loosely connect them to my popcorn.
Do you like this Pop-Tart, Shaps?
I feel ripped off, but yeah, I like it.
You didn't buy it, though.
I feel ripped off and
I know, I still feel ripped off. For you,
So I
because you
feel-
fooled. You got fooled. You literally looked at the box
You
and
owe me
said,
37 cents.
you looked over there and you said, I'm eating a waffle. I'm like, that's how they get you, bro.
I haven't even finished the first one because
Wow.
I've seen everything I need to here.
I didn't go for the second one, but I did finish the first one. Must say, underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Undercooked.
I'll probably eat the set because
Undercooked.
you know you know I never lose my appetite on this show, so I'll go back eventually for the
I
second
literally
one.
just... All right, guys, ladies and gentlemen.
I never
second
lose
time
my
I ever
appetite
lost an
except
appetite.
for Eggo. Tarts.
When I'm not feeling hungry, I turn to Kellogg's Eggos.
They're great.
Bro, I was at the Fort Worth Arts Festival and they had the country radio station booth.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, read the script into the microphone, and we might use you for our radio program." Like,
Oh, I bet you put everything you had.
I
into
did
that.
not because they wouldn't let me promote this show. So I was
Aw.
like, "What's the point? Why would I bother?
Well, look at that, B.
I'm already on the radio in a sense, so why would I? I don't need it."
You shouldn't have asked, bro. Ask for forgiveness later.
Ask for forgiveness later.
Yeah, just like thank you for tuning in to 98.7 KL2. Wait, tune in to the Third Wheel Podcast.
KLT third wheel.
Yeah, just throw it in there.
All right.
Well, guys, I'm very disappointed by this Pop-Tart, and I think that's a great way to end this show.
Honestly.
Well, speaking of the Arts Festival and trying to plug your show, I
Oh,
think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
an appropriate time to shamelessly plug mine. Hello, it is Sellout Calvary here. If you like what you see here and want to see, if you like what you hear here and want to hear more, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel at Calvary's Cave. Now, for those of you that appreciate video games and anime, I will be talking about that and playing some games on my channel at Calvary's Cave. Am I going to spell it for you? No. I expect you to reach it there yourself.
Yeah.
And if you need help, you can go back to any of our previous videos where my brother commented Calvary's Cave. Just click on his channel, and you should be able to find it just easy and dandy.
Link in bio. Link in bio.
No.
That sounds like a really good name of like an old style mercenary group. The Sellout Sellsword Cavalry.
Ooh, that sounds terrible.
Yes.
Sellout Cavalry.
Leave the
I
big
thought it was a
brain.
cute name. So I
Leave
came
the
up with
marketing to me, and then we'll be fine. Guys,
The name came from me.
yeah, I know. And that's why it sucked. All right, guys. We had a great discussion. I hope y'all enjoyed it. We will see y'all next time. Say bye, everybody.
it. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.